Good morning, students. Today's class will see about the final year BSc Nursing January 2022 Nursing Education of 2016 scheme. So the first long essay is explain the principles of curriculum planning, describe the factors influencing curriculum development in nursing education. So the principles include, it has been stated that nations live in the present on the past for the future. That means we live today depending upon or based on our past for the future. So the principles include the first one is forward looking principles. That means children today are the citizens of tomorrow. So there has to be forward looking. The creative principle of totality form, the activity principle for preparation for life, connecting to life, training for leisure. Training for leisure means in a 24 hours day, we sleep for 8 hours and we work for 8 hours. Remaining 8 hours we spend for our own time. So that depends upon how we become a creative person. So we have to train the students for how they will spend their leisure time. And child-centered curriculum, principles of integration and correlation, principles of comprehensive balance, principles of loyalties, variety and flexibility, connecting to community needs with the principle of social life, principle of core common subject, all-round development of body, mind and the spirit, principle of democracy, secularism and socialism, and dignity of labor. Then principle of the character building. Factors influencing curriculum development in nursing education include philosophy of nursing education, educational psychology, society, student, knowledge explosion and scientific advancement, technological advancement in patient care and educational technology, transnational career opportunities and resources available for the nursing education. Short essay, the first one is explain the principles of teaching, describe problem-based learning as a teaching method. Principles of teaching include principle of motivation, activity, creativity, selection, division, correlation, connecting with life, revision and practice. Teachers should arouse interest in the students with well-defined objectives. It is an approach to the problem-based learning is an approach to learning and instruction in which students tackle problems in small groups under the supervision of teacher. The process includes step 1, problem. That means the task the student is to identify the problem, then ideas. During analysis of the problem, dilemmas and questions arise which act as a learning goals for subsequent self-directed learning and ideas that arise for the solving the problem. Then third, knowledge. The problem presented to the students help the learners to identify the important aspect of its presentation. Step 4 are the learning issues. Identify the group in the class and course of action. The advantages of problem-based learning include it brings about the student-learner-centered activity with emphasis on strategic group. It facilitates self-directed learning. It also brings an integrated approach to learning and internal motivation. Many education institutions have combinations of traditional curriculum and problem-based learning. Disadvantages are selection of problem may greater task for the students, resistance to new technique by traditionalists who follow the traditional method. The second short essays describe the qualities of an evaluation tool, briefly explain different tools to assess skills of a student. First quality should be a validity. The tool which we use should evaluate accurately and efficiently and infallibly measures what are supposed to measure. Validity may be low, high or moderate degree. Second is reliability. The consistency or stability of the scores obtained by the same individual under re-examination and variable examining condition. Then objectivity. Elimination of personal judgment and bias is a factor of scoring. Adequacy. The extent of subject matter covered. The good test will long enough to balance enough to judge the objective widely, that is, cover the maximum syllabus. Usability or practicability. Ease of administering, ease of interpretation and usage of scores, economical, etc. Discriminating power. It should be able to classify and differentiate between students based on the aptitude and achievement shown in the test. Tools to assess the skills of the students include traditional practical examination, observed checklist, rating scale, Viva Voice, and OSCE or OSPE. OSCE means objective structure, clinical examination, objective structure, practical examination. Any of these methods independently cannot assess the skill of the students with good validity, objectivity, and reliability. So, a wise combination of these tools are mandatory for holistic and comprehensive skill achievement. In short notes, the first one is steps in micro-teaching. The phases of micro-teaching by N.G. Jankira and Ajit Singh present the phases include stage 1 is orientation. That means the concept of micro-teaching should be known to the students, rationale for using micro-teaching, procedure of micro-teaching, and requirements and setting or adopting micro-teaching techniques, and merits and demerits of micro-teaching should be taught to the students. And second, discussion of a teaching skill, which skill they want to expose. That means analysis of teaching into components, discussion of rationale of all these teaching skills. Step 3, selection of particular teaching skill. The teaching skills are to be practiced by taking them one at a time. Teachers trainee during the steps also provide necessary orientation and processing material for practicing the skill. Step 4 is presentation of a model demonstration lesson. This state is known as modeling, that is, demonstration of a desired behaviors relating to the teaching skill for imitation by observers. Model lesson plan can be given in a number of ways, like providing written materials such as handbook, videotapes. Step 5, observation of model lesson and criticism. At this stage, what is read, viewed, listened to, and observed through a modeling source is carefully analyzed by the trainees. Overhead project. Next. Next question is the overhead projector. Overhead projector is a device for projecting a matter. Projecting a matter which is written or drawn or transparent sheet or Excel. It projects transparencies with brilliant screen images suited for the use of right hand room. Teacher can draw diagrams on the transparency while that he teaches and have one main idea for each transparency. Ensure all transparencies are simple as possible and easy to read. Avoid too much information in a single transparency. Use a simple letter style. Do not use all capital letters. Do not overcrowd it. Use diagrams in proportion to the lettering. Use color and words with discretion. Advantages include project large amount of materials and attractive, easy to prepare, requires limited planning and time saving. Permits face-to-face interaction, easily available, easy to operate and handle. Disadvantages include cannot be used in situations of power and interruptions. It is not possible to use outside the classroom. Difficult to transport. Good handwriting is essential to prepare good transparencies. Sixth is functions of education. The first one is to complete socialization process. The school helps the child to develop, distinguish what is right and wrong, respect others, to transmit cultural heritage, formation of a social personality, reformation of attitude and values, education for occupational placement, that is instrument for livelihood, conferring status. Education encourages the spirit of competition, which is necessary for the democratic society. Education trains in skills that are required by the economy. The fosters participant democracy, that means knows right, participate actively in democratic process. Education imparts value. Education acts as an integrative force. Values and orientation which are specific to certain professions are provided by the education. Functions of education to the individual include adaptation to the environment, modification of environment, satisfaction of needs, vocational efficiency, achievement of self-sufficiency, development of character, development of personality, preparation for life, creation of good citizen. Types of counseling approach. Directive counseling. It is an approach in which counseling uses variety of techniques to suggest appropriate solutions to a problem to the counselee. Non-directive counseling is a counselor-centered approach in which he guided to use his own inner resources to solve the problem. In eclectic counseling, a strategy arises out of appropriate knowledge of the student behavior, and a combination of directive, non-directive and other approaches can be used. Characteristic of learning. Learning is growth, which is natural, inevitable in life, the children as well as the adults. Learning is an adjustment. It helps the individual to adjust himself to the environment. It's a change in behavior. Learning is an organized experience. The sense of a new and old experience result in completely new organization of behavioral pattern. Learning is a purposeful and goal-directed. Learning is both individual and social. Learning is self-activity. It is basic principle of life. Learning is transferable. That means whatever we learn in one situation can able to apply in another situation. Next is differentiate between guidance and counseling. Guidance is intellectual attitudes are raw materials of guidance. Decision making is operable at an intellectual level of the guidance. Guidance generally education and career related and may also be personal problems. But counseling is emotional rather than a pure intellectual attitude is a raw material for counseling process. Counseling operates on an emotional level. Counseling mostly offered to personal and social issues. Object and specimen. Collection of real things for the instructional use is called as object. They are reality, not substitute of reality. It helps the students to get direct contact with actual things and situations. They provide the means of establishing correct initial concepts in the students. Specimen is a typical object representing a class or a group of things. A specimen is a sample of real object of materials. In other ways, it is a part of the object. They cannot stimulate the complete sensory stimuli as the objects. Answer briefly. Type of chart. There are narrative, tabulation, chain, bar, pie chart, flow chart, evolution chart, pull chart, line chart, tree chart. Teacher's role in disciplinary problem. Teacher should be fair and impartial. Favoritism in any sense can lead to withdrawal of cooperation and indiscipline among the students. When there is an order, impose it firmly and unambiguously. Teacher must know when and how to punish. Ensure necessity for reprimand. Follow up all important disciplinary matters. Revise and execute the best among the measures adopted by reviewing. Course planning. Series of studies leading the graduation or a degree, as in case of BSc nursing course, required to the completion of several short courses. Outline of course plan include objectives, specification for the level of the learner, resource materials needed for the course, unit plans, evaluation methods, and bibliography. Attitude scale. An attitude scale is a tool prepared for the measurement of people's attitude to an issue called attitude scale. Attitude scale designed to provide valid or accurate measures of an individual's social attitude. Arranged in random order and administered. Respondents put a tick mark on statements which they agree and leave the rest. The weights, that means the favorability of rating for checked measurements, are summed and divided by number of statements checked. The number of favorable and unfavorable statements should be approximately equal. The sum of the statement credits represent the score of an individual. Thank you. Thank you for listening.